Well, it's a strange thing about having a malady like this, because you feel you must make at the same time preparations to die and to live.
Tell me a little bit about how you discovered that you were sick.
I was on my book tour for my memoir, Hitch 22, and I woke up one morning. I thought, this is not. I wrote it like this at one point, trying to be funny. I've woken up in the past feeling like death, but actually this could be the real thing. I couldn't really move, and my whole sort of chest cavity seemed to have been filled overnight with some kind of cement. And I wasn't sure I was breathing or my heart was beating. It was very frightening, and quite clearly something out of the ordinary. And I was in New York, and I managed to get the emergency services to come. It took me a long time to get to the phone, but once that happened, everything happened very quickly. And I discovered that my pericardial sac, the bit around my heart, the liquid that protects your heart, had sort of swollen up to the point where my heart couldn't move very well, if at all. Which may or may not have been related to my malady, but at any rate, before I left the hospital, they told me that my next appointment should be with an oncologist, the first time I'd ever heard the word really, because they'd found there was a unpleasantness somewhere in my chest area, a shadow of some sort, which proved to be a tumor in my esophagus, which had, by the time it was found and identified, had metastasized to my lymph glands, the palpable ones, the nodes that you can feel along your clavicle, along your collarbone, and possibly infringed into my lung. I'm not clear on that.
And so what was the diagnosis then?
Well, metastasized cancer of the esophagus.
And you said your father died of
which rang immediately with me, resonated, as people say, because that's what killed my father when he was 79. I'm 62, my next birthday. And like me, my father had been a fairly consistent smoker, mainly of a pipe. And he did his share with the bottle as well, but had never been ill until this happened to him, and was killed by it almost immediately. That was in a time when esophageal cancer wasn't very well understood, as it still is not, in point of fact. So it didn't take me long to find an oncologist, and for him to prescribe a course of chemotherapy for me. And as it was beginning, I thought I would just say to him, look, do you mind, I'm sure you get asked this a lot, what's a good result for someone like me? And what's a bad result? In terms of time, I'd like to be able to budget my time. That's the way I am anyway. And he said, you'd be surprised actually how many people don't ask. He said, I would prefer not to give you an answer until we've tried the therapy and seen if the chemistry works. But as if thinking that might sound like an evasive answer, he said, what I can tell you is if you hadn't come in and started this, you'd be dead in a very few months. So from that I judged that I had got it severely, and that it had taken up some kind of residence. All I can tell you about, I'm now on my I'm coming to the end of my fourth 3-week treatment. I can only take it every 3 weeks. And that the place I was feeling before, and he was feeling, the clavicle, the ones that can be palpated from the outside, have measurably shrunk. So he knows that the cocktail he picked of chemo was a good one. And I'm taking that as an encouraging sign. It's not good to have a cancer that can be felt from the outside, but if you can also, by that simple means, show that it's diminishing, that's something, I suppose.
So what do you think? I mean, what do you expect?
Well, it's a strange thing about having a malady like this, because you feel you must make at the same time preparations to die and to live. And the way I put it in my Vanity Fair article was, lawyers in the morning and doctors in the afternoon, my two favorite professions taking up my life. All I need is a priest now. I have my three least. At least those I don't have to see. And so I have made a will, which I had never bothered to do before. And I've thought about what this might mean for my children, or will, and about my wife, if she has to become a widow early in life, relatively early in life. But at the same time, if I'm asked, do I want to go and debate Tony Blair on the relevance of religion to the third world in Toronto in November, I say yes, I'm planning to be around.